I think the Fever have a chance to win a championship this year. Do I think they will? No, but I think they'll be in the running. And it hurts me to say, like, I don't want to see it. And it's not because I don't think they're deserving or because I don't want Caitlin to excel or Aaliyah Boston to excel. But it's like, I don't want that segment of the population that uses Caitlin as a battering ram against the black players in the league, against the LGBTQ players in the league, against players that they don't feel are worthy of attention and respect. I don't want those people to get any satisfaction. So for that reason, I hope the Fever don't win. I hope Caitlin doesn't win MVP. I hope Aaliyah doesn't win anything defensively. I hope that they have a good season, but not a great season, because I don't want those people to get any satisfaction, Justin.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. But I was wondering, does it have to happen in order for progress to be made, though? As usual, before we got on air, we were talking about just the foolishness, the discourse around Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. The Fever played the Chicago Sky in the season opener with the Fever destroying the Chicago Sky, but no one cared about that. It was just about the foul of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, a normal basketball play, something you see a million times all the time if you watch basketball, but people that don't watch sports think it's some kind of heinous crime. But what do you guys think of this season overall? Are you worried based on this weekend with the discourse that we've seen as we recorded out this podcast, from football players going at each other, from Nate, what you mentioned with Dave Portnoy? This is just the first weekend. Can this improve? I think it did last year with just the discourse. I think it started to get a little better, but we're not off to a great start in terms of what we're seeing online. Just kind of your thoughts on the actual basketball and then the attention of what this league is going to go through this year.
I thought Paige Bueckers was coming to save us from this, JT. I thought, come on, Paige. I thought you was going to rescue us from this. But here's the thing, Justin. I thought, obviously you're not going to get all of that crap out of the game. Like that, because you can't get all that crap out of people. And, fans go to the game. You're going to get some of that. I think what makes me disappointed is I thought we had worked through all of this as a fan base. And the folks that were in this for not the right reasons, the folks that weren't in this for the basketball, the folks that weren't in this to actually support Caitlin but wanted to use Caitlin Clark as a weapon, as a vehicle for their agenda, which is a hate-based agenda. I thought we had gotten at least, obviously we can't get all of them out, but I thought we'd at least weeded out a lot of them. But no, they're back, Justin, and it's sad because there's so much good to talk about, man. Like the Fever, they have put a super team basically, like in one off season, created a super team around Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston. DeWanna Bonner's in the building. You got Sophie Cunningham in the building. And again, I've nothing against Sophie Cunningham as a player, but I think her personal views kind of feed into some of these fan views, and so it's kind of a thing. I knew bringing Sophie to this team is going to do wonders for the court, but in terms of the piece of these players, I don't like it. Kelsey Plum had a great opening weekend for these Sparks. Like, I'm really excited about the Sparks, man. I think Kris got a team. I'm not saying they're gonna make it to the finals, but with Kelsey, Rakia Jackson, Cam Brink is, once she gets back to full strength, this is going to be a team that people are going to have to reckon with. The Valkyries, they're here, Justin. The Valkyries are here. We should be talking about the Valkyries. But no, we're talking about this foul. And again, like you said, it's just a regular foul that happens in every game. I don't even think it was a flagrant foul.
I don't think so either.
I honestly, and I said this to Vanessa Shark, who is a big WNBA fan over at Nefarious Media and the Kings of Sport. I was like, I think it was just a common foul, but they bumped it up to a flagrant. That was the racism tax. It was like, your fans have been calling these black women all sorts of names all game long. We got to give them something. You're beating them by 35. We got to give them something. You getting the flagrant, Caitlin. Like that. That's a cold game, but that's what it is. And so, yeah, like Dave Portnoy is, like, I didn't call the Knicks fans garbage as human beings. I said they were garbage fans. Dave Portnoy is a garbage human being. That's just my sensibility about it. I think he lives to stir the pot up, man, and stir division and stir hate. And he's got a weird fixation on Angel Reese and some of these other players in the WNBA. And so it's like, I'm so sick of this, man, for these young women. Because if you listen to Caitlin talk, if you listen to Angel talk, man, they just want to ball. They just want to hoop. And a lot of this noise is from people that don't even care about the WNBA. Because if they cared, they'd be like, man, this is a great place for this league to be. Coming off of last year, where we've got all this excitement about this rookie class. And then we come into this season, and we got, like we said, Paige Bueckers is in the building now, and her and Enrique Ogunwale in Dallas making up that backcourt. Like, there's so much good to talk about. The Liberty, the defending champions, have seemingly gotten better in the offseason, Justin. And
Great.
so it's like Minnesota's still a threat. How crazy is it, Kris, now that I'm saying it out loud? New York might have 2 champions in the same year, same calendar year, I guess. But all of this extra stuff, man, it pisses me off, Justin, because it takes away from the game. And also, when you got these talking heads, and I will include like Stephen A. Smith in this because he does fan a lot of the Flames, you got a lot of men who are new to this sport who still don't know how to talk about it. And because they don't know how to talk about it, these fans don't know how to talk about it. And we're stuck in conversations like this instead of talking about, hey, man, Caitlin Clark had a triple-double. And she's now 3rd on the all-time triple-double list in her 2nd season. And that should be something we're talking about as a cool thing. But no, we're talking about, is the game too violent? Is the game too violent because some of y'all don't know how to enjoy a good thing. And I'll just leave it at that, Justin.
No, I feel you. I think it's very blatant. When you see people talk about the W, immediately you know where they stand on one way or another. I mean, the hypocrisy is just ridiculous because all the time we hear in the men's game, it's like these guys, they get along, they like each other. And now when you have rivalries and intense basketball, it's an issue and it's a crisis.
Yep.
And it's an issue every game. It's pretty ridiculous. So let's talk about what's happening on the court. And you mentioned the Liberty. I think they looked fantastic. I mean, to me, with Natasha Cloud, she was awesome in the season opener. Just where are you seeing in terms of, who's going to kind of make some noise? Do you think the Fever are for real with the retooled roster, or do you think it's still going to be like the Aces, Minnesota, the Liberty, or do you think there might be another team that might be a surprise, you think?
Oh, and don't neglect to mention my Mystics.
That's right. They're 1-0. 2-0. That's right. That's true. That's right.
Knew he was going to try to sneak some Mystics talk in here.
The curse is broken.
The curse is broken. The curse of Elena Deladon.
Elena Deladon curse is broken.
This is what I told Ray on our show, Justin. Like there's a curse upon the Mystics because Elena Deladon, one of the greatest players in WNBA history. Y'all was so bad as an organization, y'all made that lady retire. She was like, you know what? I don't even want to do this anymore. I'm just going to go home. She just retired instead of coming back to play for your trifling organization, Ray Williams.
We don't need her. We got that girl, Sophia Citron. Bye-bye, Elena.
We'll see during when the playoffs come around, Ray Williams.
500.
That's true. Yeah, well, we'll have to see how it plays out. Yeah, but it's getting exciting in the W. I think with the Sky, I don't think that beatdown was indicative of how they're going to perform. I was disappointed, to be honest. It is a shame that I disagree with them getting rid of Teresa Weatherspoon. I thought that was a terrible firing. Hopefully this new guy can kind of, I don't know, right the ship.
Apparently they're high on Coach Marsh. Apparently they're high on him. He's got some bona fides. But yeah, I'm with you, Justin. I thought for that team, particularly if you have a team that young, like if you look at that Sky team last year, who were the veterans on that team? Like Marina Mabry. And I like Marina Mabry now, even though she did betray us and left us, and she could have been part of something special. But Marina Mabry doesn't have the temperament to be that vet, that leader. And so, it felt like Angel Reese was the team leader, and the rookie shouldn't be the team leader. And I thought Teaspoon, was there kind of she was the only adult voice. And that sounds bad when I say it that way, but she was the only adult voice in the locker room because she'd been there, she'd done that. But yeah, I'm mad, man. So the Sky are my secondary team. Justin knows this. He's the commissioner of our WNBA team draft, which we didn't do this year. But we actually did a fantasy draft, which Justin is a part of, which is cool. We got a fantasy league going on. But I think when you look at the Sky, the two things that kind of hurt my soul as a Sky fan is losing Teaspoon and then Kennedy Carter. Like, Kennedy's down in Mexico having the time of her life, and I'm like, man, like, Kennedy, like, obviously, she runs a little hot. But if you can control that fire and focus it, man, I think Kennedy Carter could be a top 10 player in the league in terms of from an offensive standpoint. But yeah, the Sky just ran into the Avengers, man. Like, you can't fault them for getting mollywopped by the Avengers, Justin, in the first game. Like they got Iron Man right there. They got Black Panther. They got Black Widow, and we got us. Of course, we're gonna get stomped. But I'm actually, and here's the thing. I hate to say it, Justin. I think the Fever have a chance to win a championship this year. Do I think they will? No, but I think they'll be in the running. And it hurts me to say, like, I don't want to see it. And it's not because I don't think they're deserving or because I don't want Caitlin to excel or Aaliyah Boston to excel. But it's like, I don't want that segment of the population that uses Caitlin as a battering ram against the black players in the league, against the LGBTQ players in the league, against players that they don't feel are worthy of attention and respect. I don't want those people to get any satisfaction. So for that reason, I hope the Fever don't win. I hope Caitlin doesn't win MVP. I hope Aaliyah doesn't win anything defensively. I hope that they have a good season, but not a great season, because I don't want those people to get any satisfaction, Justin.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. But I was wondering, does it have to happen in order for progress to be made, though? Like, I guess the top figures, in the league to speak out against that, if the Fever do end up, going to the WNBA finals, instead of just them always kind of, being in the playoffs or just missing it. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like that's always that terrible just environment's always going to be there. I just feel like it being pushed to the forefront if they're in the WNBA finals. I don't know, maybe I'm being overly optimistic. I don't know. But I just feel like there's a shot of at least bringing that to the surface to erase some of that if they go to WNBA finals, even if it's at a Fever pitch, because, your casual just viewer be aware of what is going on, and maybe, we might hear some voices fight back against it. Maybe I'm being optimistic, I don't know, but I don't know. I feel like it could go either way. I don't know.
I mean, the thing is the unfortunate thing about the WNBA is they're playing against a backdrop of just a very fractured country at the moment.
Agreed.
And it's just as long as these media narratives are prevalent. I'm not even talking about the basketball ones, just the narratives outside of basketball. As long as they have life to them, they are going to just continue this nonsense, And Caitlin Clark, to her credit, she didn't sign up for this, Neither did Angel Reese. I know they don't like this stuff because they've said as much, Caitlin Clark she doesn't want to be the poster child for white girl power, But I mean that just sometimes, like, you don't even get to control that stuff. It's just these media. But all Caitlin Clark can do is keep pushing back against those narratives and play her game. Eventually, they will grow tired of this stuff. I've already seen Megyn Kelly kind of talk mess about Caitlin Clark. Hopefully, Caitlin Clark she's already drawn her line in the sand, and she stands firmly in her truth enough to where these losers just get tired of talking about the WNBA, to where, like, it's just something that goes over their head,
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing, I think, when we were talking earlier about just these talking heads, or like the people who came into the sport last year who are kind of bringing this negativity, I think, and having the expectation that it would die down. I think the talking heads saw that they had a lightning rod, and that they don't want it to die down because that's what brings the ratings. And so you're going to see a Dave Portnoy show up at the game, and you're going to hear about Stephen A., even though Monica McNutt put him in his place last year, but he's still going to run his mouth. And again, it's like that loud, the vocal minority is going to drown out the great voices who've been in this sport for a while, such as a Monica McNutt or Andrea Carter or my girl Chinea Gumake, or like, these are the people that we need to be focusing on, who's actually trying to build up the sport past all of the stuff that isn't of substance, but more of like style and more of the outside, but it's not really getting into the substance of the game. So I think we need to continue to highlight voices like that who are pushing the narrative of the sport being above all, instead of pushing like these personal narratives. And who cares if they don't like each other? Like
exactly.
We're mentioning Justin. It's like when you go back to the NBA, like you had the Pistons up here starting riots, like
right.
and that was after the bad boys of the Pistons. Like you had these guys like getting into full out fist fights with other foes. But it's like, oh, you see two women push each other and mean mugging each other. Oh, clutching my pearls. Like, what are we doing, man? Just let these competitors compete. Like, they don't have to love each other. They don't have to like each other.